Hello everybody, this is Nortes432 here. I really didn't have time to make a acceptable intro for this, so let's just go ahead and start reading the fanfiction, shall we? Crystal Dash, one of the captains in Princess Celestia's royal guard, landed and approached the scene. This was the last place he wanted to be. At the sight of his own daughter's brutal murder, he stopped and looked at the sticky mess of blood running down the tree. At the large pool on the ground, feathers strewn about. He looked up, steeling himself. The report had been too kind for the true horror of seeing his only child impaled so brutally on the Celestia darned tree. The worst part? The decapitation. He would never get to see Rainbow Dash's face ever again. Crystal Dash choked back the urge to vomit. He had to be strong for his fellow ghosts. Captain? Rainsong, remove her gently. She is to be transported back to Canterlot. Crystal turned her way. I want 4 volunteers. We are going to hunt this thing down and end it. Nearly his whole team stepped forward. Rainsong did not, even though he had wanted to. He had been given orders. Crystal chose his best ponies for this job. Then they flew into the sky, searching for any clues. Fluttershy wanted to get away from Ponyville. As much as she was enjoying this game, she knew she needed to get food for her baby. Soon, if not already, he would be able to start hunting on his own. Still, she would not abandon him. She loved her whispering, and knew he loved her back. But Rarity was making it difficult for her to get out, seeing that she was doting so much on the poor Fluttershy. Fluttershy continued her ruse, even as it was starting to get on her nerves. She cried and sobbed and clung to Rarity, soaking her shoulder with tears. They had heard the report, but could not believe it. Rainbow Dash was dead? Fluttershy broke down, and had been crying for nearly an hour now, and eventually cried herself dry. She knew this game was far too easy now. With the royal guard hunting for some black dragon-like creature, she felt safer. She didn't want to push her luck, though. She knew Crystal Dash loved his daughter, Rainbow Dash, very much. She knew he was smart, that being the reason he had made captain. Better yet, Fluttershy knew he could, on occasion, be reckless, a treat he had been more than happy to give Rainbow Dash, meaning screwing with his mind would be easier than what most would think. Flutter pretended to cry herself asleep, which gave Rarity the chance to lay her back on the bed. The bed was soft, warm, and comfortable, perfect for what Fluttershy was contemplating on attempting. She knew she had magic powers, though rarely practiced them. She also knew she had another form of power, mental manipulation, which she also had virtually no practice with. Maybe it was time to start. She just hoped the certain precognitive pink party pony wouldn't be able to sense her at work, or better yet, maybe she could be her first target. Pinkie Pie was in full-blown Pinkamena depression mode. News of Rainbow Dash's death had hit Ponyville like an emotional tsunami. Her friend was well known and well liked by most, well loved by the rest.
Whoever, or whatever killed Dashy? What kind of monster could do that?
Pinkie thought.
Oh, Dashy, why? How could this happen to you? You were my best friend after all.
She looked out the window. She had wanted to cry, but just didn't have the energy.
Well, maybe not my best friend.
She suddenly heard her mind think.
After all, how often does she run away from me and avoid me?
Where had that thought come from? Why had she thought that? Still, there was truth in it.
She did call me annoying and childish before. A real friend wouldn't do that,
she thought again. Would a best friend say something like that about another best friend?
When was the last time we hung out? It was months ago, wasn't it?
Pinkie Pie couldn't remember. Her eyes started to narrow to pinpoints.
When was the last time any of my friends really did anything for me? I'm always cheering them up, always selling them ponies, yet where are they now?
She was all alone right now. Applejack and Rarity were not here to comfort her, to be comforted in return. Shouldn't friends do things like that for each other?
No, here I am, all alone. Who needs friends?
Her real mind thought.
I'm better off without friends. I won't get hurt anymore if I don't have friends.
A slight creepy grin crossed Pinkie Pie's lips at this next very disturbing thought.
Maybe this thing could be my friend.
Pinkie Pie giggled creepily. Fluttershy had touched Pinkie Pie's mind. She had thought it would be stronger, better defended, but it had been so open and receptive to her mental manipulations, especially in its current state. Under the blankets, Fluttershy grinned, her eyes blood red and her fangs fully sharp. These features changed back to that of the harmless Fluttershy as she heard Rarity enter the room again. She felt Rarity lay down on the bed next to her, atop the blankets next to Fluttershy. Fluttershy? No answer, just slightly sobbing, sleeping breaths. Rarity didn't speak again, but rolled over and hugged the yellow Pegasus. She too had cried herself dry. She just lay there, feeling comfort from her gentle and kind friend.
Oh, Rarity, you have no idea that you are laying with one of them you should be running away from. So ironic, isn't it?
She shifted.
Rarity? Oh, Fluttershy, I didn't wake you, did I? No, this is nice, warm. I almost feel like this has just been a dream.
A nightmare more like it. Rarity choked a little.
They recovered Rainbow Dash's body.
Fluttershy nodded weakly, hiding her delighted grin under the blanket. She then hid her grin and uncovered her head.
Maybe we should go see her to say goodbye.
I can't. I heard there was so much blood, and... Oh, Fluttershy, the monster took her head.
Her head? Of course I did. Otherwise, Twilight might be able to use her brain. If she can somehow use a skeleton to find its own head, there's no telling what she can do with the brain.
She thought to the place the head had been disposed of in. A red ant nest. They would have that skull stripped of all flesh within only hours. There would be no way for anybody to use that skull to find out the truth of Rainbow Dash's death, even if they did find the skull. Rarity nodded. I heard they're going to bring her body to the hospital here and keep it in a cold storage with a unicorn skeleton. Rainbow's father wanted to bring her back to Canterlot, but he received orders from the princess herself to do otherwise.
Why?
Fluttershy asked.
So this means Twilight gets some bodies to play with. Well, I'll just have to leave her with more. All in good time. All in good time.
She glanced out the window. It was only mid-afternoon. Tonight she had a hunt. There was no way her baby could keep going hungry. Dark Lady Twilight Deathspark looked at her cutie mark and wondered, why did one of my 5 stars vanish? Could they signify my friends? Why did one vanish? She rubbed it and thought some more. Did one of them die? She felt a frown cross her lips. Twilight had never really thought that those stars represented her friends before. She just thought of it showed her high aptitude with magic. Was she destined to only ever have those 5 friends? Well, it was possible one was dead now. So make that 4 friends now. Twilight shrugged, then got back to her latest spell. She scribbled runes onto Silence Grave's bones, using her own blood. Soon, my friend, soon, you will be more than just a pile of bones. She grinned again, knowing that Silence Grave would be a very valuable tool and assistant, one who was not mouthy at times, one who did not need to sleep at all. Spike was still a baby, but eventually he would grow and leave. He was a dragon after all, and he was already expensive to be kept fed, what with his need to eat valuable gems. The sooner he grew up and left, the better. Silent Grave was much better assistant, never talking back, never arguing, never falling asleep at the worst possible time. Silence Grave, take a note. Twilight's grin grew. Dear Princess Celestia, I have learned so much in these last 3 months. I have learned the truth behind you and your sister, and I can never repay you for this. The best I can do is hopefully join you at your side someday. Your most faithful student, Dark Lady Twilight Deathspark. She checked Silent Grave's writing. The script was elegant, flawless, and beautiful. Oh, you must have been an artist in your previous life, my friend. She nuzzled the skeletal head. Send it. Silent Grave released a flash of dark violet flame that incinerated the letter, sending it off to the princess. Her first successful delivery, she hoped. Celestia had indeed received the letter, and was reading it in the privacy of her own office. Dark Lady Twilight Deathspark. Such a pretty name. A shame she will have to change it to rule at my and my sister's sides. Celestia smiled gently and sent the scroll to the sun. This was one letter she would not to share with her beloved Luna. She didn't need to know. Not yet, at least. Pinkie Pie's mind continued along the path that had started so suddenly. Her depression increased, but was also taking a strange course. With the thoughts and realization that her friends were only using her to make themselves feel better, she figured it was time, once again, to find new friends. This time, though, it would not be a pile of rocks or a bucket of turnips. Her friend had to be the one who understood her, who would appreciate her for who she was and what her talents were for. Just because her talent was throwing parties and making others happy did not mean she had to be used by them. Maybe she could start using them back to make herself happy. Pinkie Pie crawled out of bed and headed downstairs to the bakery. She needed to feel happy again, and somebody was going to make her feel happy, if they liked it or not. It was late at night, now, and Rarity was sleeping soundly, thanks to Fluttershy giving her soft, pleasant dreams. There was no need to cause her generous friend such strife. Fluttershy slipped on silent hooves to the window. A peek outside, and she spotted 2 of Crystal Dash's ponies patrolling. They looked sharp and aware, and there was most likely more than one patrol.
Interesting. getting out of town may be a fun little game in itself.
Fluttershy moved silently from the bedroom and down to the main floor. Entering the basement without any sound was just as easy. When it came to actually leaving the basement through the outside cellar doors, Fluttershy had to take care that the door didn't make any noise when it opened. Peeking out, she saw a pair of guards across the market square in front of Sugar Cube Corner.
A distraction would be perfect by now.
Fluttershy smiled as she watched the front door to the confectionery open, revealing Pinkie Pie with her beautiful straight hair.
Perfect.
Pinkie Pie had stepped aside for a breath of the cold night air. She had been busy in the kitchen for over an hour now, working away quietly as she baked some cookies. She spotted the two guards and smiled a little, though perhaps smiling was while one was feeling less than mentally stable. Well, maybe smiling was not the best idea. The pair of guards glanced uneasily at Pinkie Pie. Ma'am, it's not safe to come out at night. You should go back inside.
I should, but it's a beautiful summer night.
Pinkie Pie pouted.
Maybe you like some cookies. I couldn't sleep and I just baked them. They're fresh out of the oven. The chocolate chips are still gooey and warm.
I don't know, one of the guards said, as the tantalizing scent of the fresh cookies invaded his nostrils. Well, maybe just one. We are on duty.
Of course!
Pinkie Pie smiled and led the pair into the kitchen. Fluttershy took this moment to cross the market square, keeping to the shadows. As silent as she thought she was, she nearly stumbled into a pair of guards as they passed by the alleyway she was currently passing through. She remained unnoticed, even as one of the guards looked through the alley. Thank goodness for the few crates behind this door. Once the guards passed and were out of sight, Fluttershy pressed on to the far side of town, toward the road that led up to her home. Along the path, she saw an oddly large number of hoofprints, moving in both directions.
Somebody is patrolling up and down this road.
A grin crossed her lips, and Fluttershy vanished into the shadows of the bushes. A little-known fact about druids. They could pass through forests and bushes with insane silence, not even disturbing leaves as they passed. Fluttershy was the closest thing in Equestria to a druid. It was easy to spot the two young guards as they walked toward Fluttershy's empty cottage. She followed them, making not even a whisper of a sound. Why are we walking up and down this road again? One asked the other. Other glanced at one. Because you drew the short straw. Again! One fumed. Oh, come on. You're the one who told me that today would be my lucky day. Okay, so my talent for guessing people's luck isn't perfect, Other chuckled. Before one could say anything else, a dark shape, silent as a shadow, and swift like the wind, flew past. One was suddenly standing all alone. His friend had not even made a sound as whatever that dark form was to come away. The young stallion on the other horse, he turned and ran for town. He blew his whistle, 3 quick sounds. Indeed, he had been lucky today, for it had been his partner who had been taken, not himself. The wind had been knocked clean out of him from the sudden impact. The speed of the attack had caused him to even black out for who knew how long. He was lying on the ground, and he was hurting, especially his wings. Wait, his wings were hurting? He looked and saw they had been cut up pretty badly. Not badly enough to keep him from flying, at least a little, but badly enough that it would take weeks to recover. He then became aware of his surroundings. It was dark, but his eyes adjusted slowly, just enough for him to see the doors all around him. Great. Am I in the Everfree? He reached for his sword and drew it. At least whatever had grabbed him left him armed. He might be able to defend himself now. Hello? A frightened voice called out. It was soft and cute, but so very frightened. He knew he had to protect whoever this voice belonged to. He sheathed his sword and called out, Hello! Who's there? It's so dark. The voice was female, that was for sure. Come toward my voice! I'll protect you. The guard listened. He could hear the movement to his right, but the voice had come from his left. He drew the sword and turned. Emerging from the bushes came a pink earth pony with straight hair and blue eyes. He almost felt relieved till he saw the somewhat less than sane look on her face. Who are you? The guard demanded through gritted teeth.
I'm Pinkie Pie. I followed my friend here after she grabbed you.
Fluttershy, hidden and silent, could have sworn. Pinkie had actually followed her through the forest? How could she not have noticed? Wait, what are you talking about? Pinkie walked past the guard.
Fluttershy, I knew you were there. You were in my head earlier, weren't you?
Again, Fluttershy wanted to swear, to attack and kill both but these ponies.
It was so nice of you to do something for me. You let me know that my friends are not really my friends. All but you, that is.
Fluttershy blinked. Pinkie Pie had been aware that it had been herself. She had thought she had been using Pinkie Pie's own voice. Emerging from the bushes, Fluttershy smiled. Pinkie Pie? She hugged Fluttershy.
I saw you sneaking out with rarities, so I decided to help you. I heard my voice in my mind, but I knew it was you. You and somebody else. She smiled.
She smiled.
I'd love to meet fLuTtEr.
Fluttershy tensed up.
How do you know that name?
Well, just like you can enter my mind, I've entered yours. The moment I saw you sneaking out of Rarities, I realized we have a connection. You can read my mind, and I can read yours.
Her smile was genuine, kind smile.
So, we're still friends, right?
Of course.
Fluttershy hugged Pinkie tightly. So,
you know why I'm out here, right?
Of course,
Pinkie Pie smiled.
I wouldn't dream of getting you away. You're taking care of your baby.
She squeaked happily.
I so want to meet him.
Fluttershy smiled, this time at the guard, who was slowly backing away, unsure what to do.
You're not getting away. My baby wants to meet you.
Her features changed, becoming feral and dangerous. Pinkie Pie's eyes went wide in wonder. Fluttershy looked so beautiful, more so than she normally did. This wild, monstrous form really suited her. The guard stood up ready, his sharp sword drawn and clenched in his teeth. The pair circled each other, each one watching the other and waiting for one to make the first move. As the guard circles around, he remembered the pink pony, the one who had just been friendly with this sick-looking freak. He glanced toward her and saw she was still standing there.
Eyes forward.
Pinkie Pie smiled, her eyes uneven in size, and her grin twisted and insane. He turned forward to see the red-black-maned monster had not moved to attack.
I could have just killed you 3 times in those short seconds,
Flutter snarled.
Try taking this a little more seriously.
Fuck you, monster! He jumped forward, blade flashing toward. The blade bit into flesh, but it didn't slow the claws down as they raked his armor and flesh underneath. He gasped as those claws had cut through his bronze armor like it had been paper. Another series of rapid slashes and he was knocked back, losing his weapon. Flutter stood over the downed and bleeding guard.
You are what protects Celestia?
Flutter grinned.
Pathetic.
She held up her cut foreleg and watched the injury heal up almost in seconds.
You, and 100 like you, could never hope to kill me, or my baby.
She turned her head.
Isn't that right, Blackthorn?
Pinkie Pie turned and gasped in delight. Blackthorn was just as beautiful as his mother. He may have had a white and blood-red coat, but he was certainly his mother's son. Hello, Mother. He spoke to her for the first time ever, using words, not thoughts. I'm so hungry. Is this my meal?
Yes, my dear son.
Fluttershy was filled with pride.
Do you want me to feed you?
May I feed myself this time?
Of course.
Pinkie watched in a little confusion as Blackthorn stung the guard, then in a mix of horror and wonder as he tore into the guard's abdomen. The guard, he was not dying as he was being eaten alive. Pinkie Pie looked at Fluttershy. She had a look of joy and pride on her face. She walked around the screaming carnage and stood next to the Pegasus that now stood a hoof taller than herself.
You have a beautiful son.
Yes, I do. I'm so proud of him.
She smiled fondly at Pinkie Pie.
He can join in on the hunts now.
Can I join? I'm tired of Ponyville. I want to be with the one pony who never takes advantage of me.
She nosed the Flutter, not even afraid of her strange appearance that would bring terror to virtually any other pony alive. Flutter nudged her friend back.
Of course. I would love to have you by my side.
She smiled at Blackthorn.
And Blackthorn might even enjoy some female company. He's of age, you know.
Pinkie Pie grinned, a slight red flicker in her eyes.
Oh yes, I love that so much.
To be continued. Pink, Amina, Diane, Pie, Cupcakes, Chainsaw.
I'm going to kill you all.
Huh. So now we got 3 bad guys. Yay! Rainbow Dash is dead! I'm not going to get over that. And now Pinkie Pie's the bad guy. Saw that coming. It's kind of getting bad that I'm starting to enjoy this, isn't it? Flutter is pretty cool. I'll give you that. Flutter is pretty cool. And I normally don't like creepy things, but Flutter is pretty legit and Blackthorn is really, really sexy. Now I sound like a pedophile because he's like 6 months old. Dear God, I don't understand this. He's of age, but he was 6 months and 9, but now he's of age. But he grows fast, but when does he die? How does it work? I don't understand. Then again, I'm not the one to ask to explain things. I really don't understand. I'm just here to read fan fiction. Pinkie Pie!
I'm going to kill you all. Have you ever tasted human flour cupcakes? I'm going to kill you all. Unless you buy my tree carrots. Ciao!